The Shawangunk Traverse is a 36-mile bike route along the northern ridge from Spring Farm Trailhead to Lake Awosting and back along the gravel carriage roads of the Mohonk Preserve, Mohonk Mountain House, and Lake Minnewaska State Park and Preserve. The first leg is nearly a mile along Spring Farm Road from the trailhead at Spring Farm to Bonnecue Road. The Spring Farm Road is well maintained and wide. It moves through meadows and begins to climb uphill. Soon we're in the trees as Spring Farm Road ascends steeply at times. The down payment is a 300-foot ascent to Bonnecue Road. The next leg is 3/4 of a mile as Bonnecue Road curves around the contour of the ridge to offer the view of Bonnecue Crag. At 1,148 feet, the crag is not the tallest or largest rock on the ridge, but the mix of challenge and accessibility make it a popular hiking destination. Anyone looking for a taste of the Gunks with only a few hours to spare need look no further than Bonnecue Crag. Bonnecue Road continues about a mile onto the Mohonk Mountain House along the eastern side of Guyot Hill, reaching the Mohonk Gatehouse along Mohonk Road. The next leg travels by the Mohonk Mountain House via North Lookout Road, passing Cope's Lookout, Humpty Dumpty Road, and arriving at the Rhododendron Bridge via Old Minnewaska Road. Starting with the Mohonk Golf Course, this will be the most developed region of the northern Shawagunks. Most of the surrounding property was acquired by the Mohonk Mountain House in the 19th century. A stay at the Mountain House is a once-in-a-lifetime event for most. We pass the Mohonk Gatehouse and we make our way to a series of connecting roads. Our next stop is North Lookout. North Lookout overlooks the High Falls area of the Rondout Valley west to the Catskills. We're approaching the Mohonk Mountain House. It looks like a castle on the edge of a cliff. We'll see if we can get away with a little quick drive-by. Cope's Lookout Road is a short connecting road to one of my favorite spots in the preserve. From Cope's Lookout and along Humpty Dumpty Road, there are some of the most iconic views of the traps and the surrounding Shawagunks. On a clear day, you can see all the way to Gertrude's Nose. The rocks along the road are infested with mountain laurel. If you don't mind the climb up from the west traps, bicycles are the best way to see Humpty Dumpty. Old Minnewaska Road is the route from Mohonk to Minnewaska. It is still the quickest way down to the traps. The grade is nearly 20% at one point. The survival of the Shawagunks triathlon route runs up this road, affectionately named Godzilla. Soon we reach Rhododendron Bridge. This leg is a little over 2 miles to the Traps Bridge along the base of the Traps Cliff. The traps are a mecca for rock climbers and bouldering in the northeast United States. The horizontally stratified quartz conglomerate of the Gunks is ideal for the purpose. It offers challenges for both novices and veterans. As we approach the Traps Bridge, we get a glimpse of the Millbrook Ridge. The Millbrook Ridge Trail is the best footpath in the preserve. The next leg is the nearly 2.5 miles of Traps Road. The road goes slightly downhill through Mountain Laurel to cross Coxing Kill. This is the Traps Hamlet Historic District. During the 19th century, the Traps Hamlet was home to perhaps 60 hard-scrabble homesteads. Nevertheless, as the Industrial Revolution changed the economy of the Northeast, families moved to larger towns like Ellenville and Kingston and New Paltz, selling their land to the Mohawk Mountain House and leaving only ruined stone foundations and forgotten graves. From the Coxing Kill, it is uphill to Lyons Road as we exit the Mohawk Preserve and enter the Lake Minnewaska State Park and Preserve. This leg is about 1 mile up to Awosting Falls along Awosting Falls Road. The road passes rock walls and the mountain laurel is everywhere. Peters Kill emerges on the right. We've reached Awosting Falls. We continue on the next leg half a mile up to the park entrance along the access road to the lower parking area. The next leg is 2.25 miles up Awosting Road to Fly Brook. The road climbs gradually along Peters Gill to gain 300 feet. We've arrived at Fly Brook. Fly Brook is a typical mountain stream originating at Mud Pond, the smallest of the Shawangunk Sky Lakes, and joining Peters Kill nearby. We leave Fly Brook and continue about half a mile to Lake Awosting. The road climbs steeply here, reaching a grade of about 21%. Participants in the survival of the Shawangunk Triathlon refer to this stretch as Cardiac Hill. But we reach Lake Awosting with our cardiovascular system strained but intact. Lake Awosting is the largest of the Shawangunk Sky Lakes. In June, the banks are blanketed with Mountain Laurel. We begin the journey back. This leg is about a mile starting on Lake Awosting Road and continuing on Castle Point Road to Battlement Terrace after a 175-foot ascent. The road climbs along the edge of the lake, offering grand views, some cyclists stopping to enjoy a brief respite. Castle Point Road leaves the lake and climbs the ridge. This leg continues on Castle Point Road, switching back and gaining elevation along Battlement Terrace. Battlement Terrace shows the quartz conglomerate in full display and is draped in its June finery. The road switches back and climbs the top of the terrace, grand views of the nearby landscape presenting themselves. This is Castle Point, the jewel of the crown of the Lake Minnewaska State Park. It is our highest elevation of the day. Castle Point has expansive views of Gertrude's Nose, Hamilton Point, Lake Awosting, Sands Point, and the southern Shawagunks to New Jersey's High Point Monument. We start our next leg down to Castle Point Road. The run is 3 miles downhill to Lake Minnewaska, winding along the cliff edges. The ride can be treacherous, so it's best to stay fully engaged. From Castle Point Road, it is 1.25 miles downhill to the park entrance and Lake Awosting Falls. We briefly stop to admire Lake Minnewaska. the former home of Windmere and Cliff House hotels. Awosting Falls Road moves swiftly downhill once we leave the crowds. Our pace is rapid as we reach Lyons Road and leave the park. What follows is one of my favorite rides. The downhill stretch from Lyons Road to Coxon is well maintained, wide, and not well trafficked. You can stretch your legs and push the bike. In a short time, we've returned to Trapp's Bridge. From here, we'll take over Cliff Road, traveling along the back of the traps. Along the road, you get great views of the Lost City Escarpment, the Coxon Clove, and the Catskills. The road is nearly level, and we reach Rhododendron Bridge along Oakwood Drive. Oakwood Drive is a very engaging 3 miles along the contour of the ridge. The road is rough in patches and is very sketchy. Sometimes double track, sometimes mud. It is always interesting. The road passes the meadow along Glory Hill Road, some of the most tranquil spots in the preserve. The next leg is northward on Clonkill Road. We need to pass over the ridge to the northwest side to return to the start. We reach Hemlock Lane on the other side. The road descends quickly as we have distracting views on the right. We turn back on North Lookout Road. We'll continue to Bonnecue Road, crossing Mohawk Road in about 1.5 miles. The road is rough in spots but nearly flat. We reach Mohawk Road, crossing the highway to Bonnecue Road on the other side. The trail will return us to Spring Farm Road. Our down payment is swiftly returned as we get closer to the trailhead. The trees give way and we're treated to the legendary $1 Million view of the Catskills. The view has many admirers, but we are eager to return to the trailhead. By the numbers, 36 miles, 3 hours, and 2,800 feet.